Alright, what's going on? I just made a half-hour video covering all that you see over here and realized my microphone didn't pick up any of it. So let's try this again. That's okay. I don't want to go a half hour. I want this to be short and to the point, and I want this to be entertainment for you, but at the same time, I want it to have some value to help you along. So jumping right into things, I have different categories. The top category are these clubs are so good, they will change the way you play the game. Right below that are solid clubs. These clubs will help you get further. They're not quite game changers, but these are definitely clubs you still want to pay close attention to. Upgrade these, use them, and I'll explain more as we go along. Below that, we have worth upgrading. And, a lot of these clubs are going to be either clubs that you outgrow or niche clubs. And again, I'll try to touch on everything. I'm not going to touch on every club, but I'm going to touch on most of them. Below that, we have use until better comes, and these are just clubs that you're going to outgrow. You got to upgrade them because if you don't upgrade them, you're going to lose a whole bunch of games to people who are upgrading them. However, they're going to be replaced most of the time relatively quickly. Below that, we have horrible. And, like for example, the down in one is by far, in my opinion, the worst club in the game. If I had an option between the down in one and a beginner club, I would take the beginner club. I believe the beginner club has a little bit better ball guide, if I'm not mistaken. But all these clubs just have horrible attributes. Again, you may need to use them. I know on my baby account, I used a couple of these clubs. I was super happy to get out of them. And that's kind of what horrible means. It's like, oh God, this is the weak link in my bag. I can't wait to get rid of them. And then down at the bottom, all these clubs, I believe all these clubs are epic. And a lot of them you get later, and you don't get a lot of these cards. And the problem with it is, at lower levels, they're not very good, with the exception of a couple of them. However, even at the lower levels, when they are somewhat good, they're going to be passed up by other clubs that are above it. And by the time you get them maxed out to where they could be considered game-changing clubs, you're going to have it's going to be 4 years. And I'm not even exaggerating because I've been playing the game for 3. Anyway, let's go up to the game changers. I don't feel much has to be said about the Apocalypse and Thor's Hammer. Both of those are very coveted drivers, two of the best drivers in the game, two very different clubs. However, once you get those to a certain level, you're going to be coming out of your extra mile. So I would say once your APOC goes to level 4, you're going to have a tough decision to make if you have a really high level extra mile like level 8 or level 9. However, once you get it to level 5, it's going to be Apocalypse all day, every day. And then Thor's Hammer, once that gets to level 6, you're not going to be using your extra mile very much at all. Maybe in a couple tournament, here and there, if your APOC is very low level for some reason. But those cards generally upgraded around the same pace. The Grizzly is an in-game changer because it's a great club all around, but it's also usable at level 3. So you don't have to, wait forever, to make it usable. And that means a lot. It's got a great ball guide, super accurate, decent all-around club. Definitely something you would want to use. Next, you'll see we have the Rapier and the Endbringer. There's always a debate between these two clubs on which one's better than the other. It's your pick, or it's whatever cards you get. When you get these clubs, depending on how early you get them, and a lot of younger players or newer players are getting these clubs in the free chest boxes, and at level 1, they're usable right out of the box, especially the Endbringer. But the Endbringer is an epic, and the Rapier is a rare, so you will fully max out your Rapier before you probably even get past level 5 with the Endbringer. And lastly, behind the watermark, sorry about that, is the Nirvana. The Nirvana has a great mix of 3 things, and that is ball guide, power, and accuracy. What does that mean? That means if you screw up your drive and you got a long way to go, it's got you covered. You can put some top spin on. You can put some, you can trust the accuracy. You know, and you got the ball guide. Just all around excellent club, game changer. Next, we have solid. Nothing wrong with solid clubs. For example, the Extra Mile. The Extra Mile is going to be the club that you use probably more than any other club in the game while you're coming up, because the Extra Mile from like level 2 or 3 all the way up to level 9 is, you know, it's going to give you the most distance. And, you know, if someone else is using a rocket still while you're using your Extra Mile on most courses, you're going to be able to, you know, come in one less shot than them, and that's ultimately what we want to do. The Cataclysm definitely could be a game changer, but again, it's an epic club, and with epic clubs, it takes forever to get it maxed out. However, once it gets to about level 5, you will no longer, it will replace your big dog. You will no longer be using your big dog, but it won't replace your sniper or guardian at level 5, which are right behind those. Both of those are solid clubs. The sniper is known for its awesome accuracy and ball guide, while the guardian is known for its power and backspin. The B-52 finds itself on solid also because it's hard to upgrade. I've been playing this game, like I said, for about 3 years. I believe mine is at level 5. Level 5, it is usable, but I can also interchange it with my Goliath. And, you know, in some cases, I'm actually happy with my Goliath, just because I'm so used to using it. The Thorn has a wonderful ball guide from the get-go. And because it's such a usable club at the beginning when you get it, you know, with that wonderful ball guide, it's going to stay in your bag all the way through till you hit toward 12. Solid club. The Firefly, I've had 3 accounts that I've played, and I've never gotten the Firefly either early or I didn't get a lot of upgrades. Some people get lucky and they get it and they get the upgrades. Some people don't. If you get the Firefly and you do get the upgrades for it, this is the wedge you're going to use until you get the Rapier or the Endbringer to have better stats. After that, you'll see we have the Malibu and the Houdini, both of which are, I believe, common sand wedges, and both of them are both wonderful clubs for, you know, getting yourself out of the sand, whether you have to go distance with it or whether you have to try to get it in the hole from the sand. Both of these clubs have very good accuracy, decent amount of power, but because they're both rare, you're going to get the Malibu in an earlier tournament, so the Malibu is usually going to be leveled up higher than the Houdini, and because of that, the Malibu is going to probably be the better club, but once they're both maxed out at level 9, the Houdini is slightly better. Next, we have worth upgrading. Now, the first one we have here is the Big Topper. Actually, the Big Topper, the Rock, and the Quarterback, all 3 of these drivers are drivers you're hardly ever going to use in tour play if you are a majority of the people. Now, there's some people out there, you know, that are different. You know, they're quirky, and they do it their way, and that's completely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. These are drivers. They were meant to be driven on the golf course. But when it's young, you're not going to have... First of all, the Big Topper is an epic. It's going to take a little while to upgrade. At the lower levels, it has horrible accuracy. The ball guide isn't that great, and when you're using something that'll give you 100 top spin, you kind of want to know where it's going. However, there are certain tournaments where you're going to need this club, and in those tournaments, this club's going to be invaluable. You won't be able to put a price tag on it. Great club. Same thing with the Rock and Quarterback. There's going to be certain shots in tournament play. That's where you're going to use these clubs the most. That's where these clubs are going to shine. Sure, there are certain courses where you can play using these clubs, but a lot of times, you know, especially for the newer players, you're going to be in a clan that only has like 2 or 3 bags, and, you know, you're going to be more worried about you might put one of those 2 drivers in them, but you're not going to use that bag very often. Next, we go to the woods. We have the Big Dog, which is one that you definitely want to keep in your bag for distance. A lot of distance, a lot of top spin, not much accuracy, not that great of a ball guide. This isn't going to get you in the hole, but it's going to get you near the hole. And if your opponent has a shorter club or doesn't have as much top spin, you're going to have a putt while they have to hit it in with the wedge, which will give you a nice advantage. Another great club, another great option, doesn't go quite as far, and it is an epic. It's the Horizon. But even at level 1, the Horizon has a wonderful ball guide, a decent amount of power, and on top of that, it also has power, ball guide. It does not have accuracy, but if you hit it perfectly, you're in good shape. So it does not have backspin either, and as you upgrade it, you'll get a little bit of backspin. But if you find yourself in a situation where you need the backspin, just back up. And if you have to back up into a long iron, remember, you can put a little bit of topspin on your long iron to make up that distance. You know, so you kind of got to give up a little something, and that's why it's worth upgrading. The ball guide is fantastic. Next, you'll see we have the Goliath, which, just like the B-52, it hits the limit. It goes as far as any long iron can go. It's got a decent ball guide once it gets upgraded. It's a rare card, so it will be, you know, something that you could upgrade relatively quickly, and something that you're going to use all the way from maybe level 3, level 2, level 3, all the way up until it's maxed out. The Saturn is a club that you're probably going to use more after Tour 7. You know, when backspin becomes a lot more important in the shootouts. It is a very solid club. Doesn't have great distance, but with the backspin and the ball guide, it is a very good club. The Hornet, some people will be upset that the Hornet is ranked below the Thorn. What hurts the Hornet is the accuracy. Wait a minute, RJ. It's got better accuracy than the Thorn. Yes, it does, but it doesn't have the ball guide. So what are you going to do with that accuracy? You know, if you get a rifle, imagine if you have the most accurate rifle in the world, but someone takes the sights and scopes off of it. Now, yes, there is a decent ball guide on this club, and some people love it, and that's perfectly fine. Next, after that, you'll see we have the Skewer, which is probably one of the best wedges, and it's common that you can unlock unless you got the Firefly. The Firefly is better than the Skewer, but because that's an epic, a lot of you guys won't get the Firefly. And then the Skewer will be the club you use until you unlock either the Rapier or the Endbringer and maybe level it up a couple times. And lastly, we do have the Razor. The Razor is a nice rough iron to have when you don't have the Nirvana. It has decent distance. It doesn't quite have that great a top spin. 100 accuracy. It's usable almost right out of the box. You get it out. You get it early on enough, and you know, it's something. It's not like the lower clubs where you're like, oh man, I can't wait to get out of this club. You know, it's not a game changer, but it's good. It could be considered solid, but it didn't quite make it to there. So next we have use until better comes. First off, we have the Rocket. For beginner players, the Rocket's great. It's a huge upgrade over the beginner club. And then also, as time goes on, for the pro and expert players, there's going to be certain tournaments where you're going to need a shorter driver with a lot of top spin. And that's exactly what the Rocket is. So it still has use for a lot of players today who play tournaments in pro or expert. Maybe even Masters, but I'm not certain. I've never played Masters. The Viper, the Viper's not horrible, but the problem is it's common. That's not a problem. The problem comes in where the Sniper is also common and very easy to get cards for. So you're going to use the Viper in all likelihood until you get your Sniper to surpass it. It's a nice little, you know, fill gap, but you'll definitely outgrow it pretty quickly. Next we have long irons. That is an epic. The Grim Reaper, very short long iron, and also a lot of backspin. That's what it's known for. Not a lot of accuracy. It's not that great, but you know, if you don't have something better, if you get that and you're waiting for better stats on other clubs, it won't be long before you get it. The Backbone is actually a very solid club. You're going to get those cards to upgrade it early and often because it's a common card. in no time, you're going to be, maxing this card out. However, it will become surpassed by the Saturn, higher level Goliaths, and, eventually a B-52. The Claw, once again, a little bit of ball guide issue there. It's got a lot of great attributes about it, but when we get into comparing it to other clubs, there's just other clubs out there that do the same thing better. It's kind of like a hybrid between a Hornet and a Thorn, with the exception of, you got to give up a little bit from each of them, but you also get a little from each of them. The Dart is not a very good club, but it is also something that you get early, Tour 2, I believe it's Tour 2. You get a lot of upgrades for it, and that's the club you'll use until you get the Skewer or the Firefly. The next two clubs, the Rough Cutter and the Sand Lizard. Sand Lizard is okay. It's not great. Could use a little bit better ball guide. The Rough Cutter, again, it's a club that you're going to open. You're going to be like, is this better than the other garbage club I have? The answer might be yes. So then you'll put it in there. You'll get cheap upgrades, but very quickly it will be overtaken. Now, we also have, the horrible clubs. I already, went over those briefly at the beginning of the video. The Down in One is absolutely awful. Every club on this list here, the Apache, the Runner, the Boomerang, the Down in One, the Machete, and the Desert Storm, with the exception of the Down in One. When you get these clubs, you're going to want to get out of them as soon as you can, and you will get upgrades for other clubs, and these will just be bad memories. If you are a rookie and you're using the Down in One, stop. I don't care how much accuracy it has no ball guide. I don't care how much you like dunking. Every club in here can dunk. You could dunk with a big topper, technically. The Down in One does not have a special attribute to it that makes it a better dunker. All clubs dunk pretty much the same. Accuracy is nice to have, but a ball guide is even nicer. And if I'm done with that. Yeah. So anyway, below that, we have the Hammerhead and the Tsunami, two great clubs that when they get fully upgraded, yes, you're probably going to use them. They're going to be in your bag. You're going to be happy you have them, but it's going to be like 4 years from your start date. I mean, it takes forever to upgrade these. Same thing with the Falcon, the Kingfisher. We also, the off-roader is kind of like when they give it to you, and the fact that it's an epic, it's like, okay, I see the potential of this club, but there's so many other clubs that you're going to be getting as you're opening chests, and because it's epic, you're not going to be getting as many of those cards. And the Nirvana, I feel, is just a better club. The Amazon and the Spitfire, both of those are the farthest a Sand Wedge and a Rough Iron can go, and both of them are really nice clubs when they're completely maxed out, especially the Spitfire. That'll actually be one you're using in your bag. I don't think you're going to use the Amazon over the... you're not going to use the Amazon over the maxed out... Why can't I think of the name? The one in the top, Nirvana. The Junglist I don't know much about because I never really used it. Its stats never really appealed to me. The Castaway, again, another very decent one when it's maxed out, but by the time it gets there, it's crazy. And... I know I'm not going in order here, but the Scorpion. What the heck was the Scorpion one called? I forgot what the Scorpion's called. The Sahara. The Sahara is, it's got power, but it doesn't have accuracy. Anyway, I definitely want to come in under 20 minutes, and I feel like we did that. If I can wrap this up real quick within the next few seconds. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the content, if it helped you at all, please hit that thumbs up button. And subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Plus, I also stream all tournaments. So if you'd like to see a stream, come hang out with us. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification, and you will get an alert as soon as I go live. And come on in. We'll have a lot of fun. We get some nice groups there, a whole bunch of nice people. Other than that, that's all I got for you today. Please leave your comments whether you agree, disagree with my selections, and thank you so much for watching.